What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another watch list video. Happy Monday. We saw a little bit of an unwind into the close after a nice morning push, but there were plenty of names that stood out today in a big way. Your QQQ has spent 2 days kind of resting sideways. The SPY, kind of like a 2-day failure at that pivot up there. Um, but I mean, it looks like the market's just searching for a higher low. It still looks completely fine. Even if the QQQ pulls back in this little mini range here to look for a higher low, I think that would be good. But for now, like I said, it just appears that the market's searching for a higher low. The SMH back above the 50-day today, that was nice to see. Not in like a super strong way, but I mean, you did have a little bit of a gap up and you held above there, so that was nice to see. We'll see what the next days of action will look like, but that was definitely a positive to me today. Let's just see it hold here now. A lot of names look like they want more digestion after their sharp moves higher. I'm seeing plenty of premature flags. So I want to stay patient, let the cleaner, more beautiful ranges develop before we get super, super aggressive, right? There's so many good names that, like, with a week or two of clarity and digestion, I think there can be a ton of setups. So my list is big. There's a lot of stuff that looks good. Some stuff is going sideways for like a day or two and then breaking higher. So just give us like that super nice range and just continued range on some stuff. And things can look even better. But oil and gas was definitely a standout today, whether that's PBF in the new highs, CVX breaking out of a nice pivot, VLO, another one just continuing higher, PSX, I think this one closed. Yeah, just an absolute monster. Dino, which, it's slowly breaking out of its pivot. I don't think these ones are viable up here. DK, I will say this one doesn't look bad. It is building a nice pivot above its head, kind of like a double bottom base, nice shakeout in the bottom of it, and then had a nice day today, nice push in volume. Nonetheless, these names are acting awesome. You can even look at your XLE, still continuing higher. Don't know if I'd be wanting to get position in these names like this when they're already pushing all the way up here. And even like a gold miners, kind of same thing. Like a lot of these names, like they don't have that tightness yet. They've just made super big moves up. So tons of names to keep an eye on in the next week or two. Optics was another one that stood out in a big way. Where you look at your LYTE ETF with a big gap and push today. The market's down, this stuff's up. AOI, nice little push out of this little mini range you built pretty much Friday, and then another continuation day higher. So I'd love to see this name kind of squat back into this mini range it's built and continue building out here sideways, build a nice little mini base or continue to build out the flag. And I think it can look even better. AXTI is another one, right? It goes sideways for 4 or 5 days, gets tight for a day. Next day, it starts to push out a little bit, and then you get a monster push day. Awesome. It's not on the list because I just don't know how it's viable yet. I want to see like just a little bit more of a pull, and then I'm going to look for higher lows on a lot of this stuff. I think COHR, I did throw this on the list because it's kind of like 4 days tight. It's back above the 50. Another one standing out today in a big way. Super nice to see. Maybe an inside day or two tomorrow, and I'd be super interested. And I'd also be super interested in AXTI and AAOI, just with a few more days up sideways. But VIAV is another one with, you get a gap and push above the 50-day. Super nice to see. LITE, same thing, right? You had the double inside day from yesterday and a nice push out of that today. Interesting, but I mean, just give us more sideways, give us more clear action in some of this stuff, and I'm willing to take some of these as higher lows, things like that. It's definitely what I'll be seeing. And then we're also seeing some like former laggards come off their lows and potentially set up for higher, like IONQ. I saw had an inside day today after like getting back above the 200 day, gets back above the 50, tight for 2 or 3 days here. Interesting. USAR, same thing, gets back above the 200, the 50, inside day. Maybe these push, and then MP kind of similar, gets back to the chart. If this is the stuff you like to go for, great. But I know the stuff that's showing relative strength. I know the big liquid names. I want to pay attention to those ones, and I don't know if I want to go for these other ones just yet. But we'll have to see. It's interesting to see that. I said Fabrinet with earnings and after hours down about 6%. And then I think I saw this AUR. A lot of people talking about this one, robotics names. I think this one had an offering. It's also down about 6%. So is what it is. Speaking about some breadth real quick, right? Did come under pressure a little bit today, but it still is not giving up too much, right? There was definitely a good number of stocks down in the day. Same thing with Pradeeps. So we need to keep tracking the names that are standing out and showing relative strength, holding up the best. I think it's good to see breadth cool off a little bit. Don't think there's absolutely anything wrong with that. Still think it looks fine. Going through my deep view list, which I'm going to start doing this more often. My institutional leader relative strength list. you've got tons of names that are just making huge moves from like not too much sideways. Like, yes, SanDisk was side for a few days. COHR, you get back above the 50, it's starting to build a flag. Fix, right? Construction stuff. I think PWR is also on here, right? Some construction names making some big moves. IESC, same thing. Semiconductors getting back above their 50-day, right? A bunch of names are participating. AEIS, I think this is another semiconductor. LITE, MU. Like, there's so many names that are making big moves. Just give us, more clarity from flags and from, higher low spots. Like MU, you've kind of just slowly made your way up. Finally back above the 50. They're finally getting back above the 50. Let them pull in a little bit, build a higher low above the 50, build sideways above the 50. And then I'm personally going to be going for those ones. Let's go over futures really quick here. Crude oil, not Colgate, crude oil, super nice push day, right? I talked about XLE, right? I wouldn't be buying most of these up here, but the strength is there. VG doesn't look too bad. This name's building out sideways in a nice way. I think, like I mentioned, DK, another one building out sideways. I think these are the only actionable ones for now, but the other ones, they're just making massive moves. Maybe let them build high type flags if some of them are, making that big of a move. But nonetheless, I just don't think this is a group I really want to go for it. Personally, I just seeing the other stuff wake up and act better is just what I want to focus on. Gold, right? Getting tight under the 200. Looks like it wants to push above that. Silver, kind of same thing, right? You're not close to 200 yet, but you could get there, right? You're definitely building a nice little mini base here. I think that's pretty interesting. I'd say at least kind of right back through those this huge level, those huge low. That's kind of where we're building it right above. I like the look of that. Think it looks good. Like GDX, like I talked about, these names have been on fire. They just need some setups now. Your ES, like I talked about, the SPY, little bit of a failure at the pivot. NQ, same thing, kind of failing around that pivot spot. Maybe just needs to pull in a little bit more, I would like to see, or just continue going sideways here. But nonetheless, if it pulls in, gives us a higher low spot, that'd be interesting. I feel like some names pulling into would give us some higher lows on a lot of stocks. The dollar back at the bottom of the range, maybe we see a bounce, but nonetheless, looks like a bear flag. Could push lower to the 200-day, wouldn't be surprised. I felt like I'd talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Big update today, right? I mean, not too big, but I mean, this thing moves, 1.8% today. It's up, 2.5%, whatever. Definitely a nice one. Nice wedge pop here on BTC, Ethereum, kind of same thing, right? You've been sideways for like 3 or 4 days. You finally get a nice wedge pop, and they've been going sideways for a while. Are they making some sort of 4B setup, right? Like if you want to buy an IBIT or like an ETHA, right? They are getting pretty tight, especially this ETHA. I don't mind the look of these. They're just far below the 200. I don't think I'll be going for these, but interesting to keep an eye on them. Maybe they're trying to wake back up. Going over my watch list here, Amazon, right? Let me bring up this Mags, right? Mags, bit of an unwind today. But I think a Microsoft it's needed this, right? And Nvidia might need it as well, right? Because it's kind of just slowly making its way higher, just slowly inching higher, kind of wedging up. Pull us back in the range, continue building out this range if that's what it wants to do. Give us a higher low spot, and then we can go for it. Microsoft, same thing. Let it pull in after becoming extended, right? I think it got almost 10 ATRs from the 50, if I'm not mistaken. So looks like it could build a higher low, maybe at this pivot, maybe at the bottom of the gap. Maybe it even comes to the top of the gap tomorrow early and just goes. I wouldn't be surprised. But Amazon, I'll be watching for a push back through the earnings low. Could have been a good one today. I won't lie. It wasn't too bad. I was busy during the time, but you have your weekly pivot here. You kind of get a breakout on the earnings gap up, and you come back and you retest that. You can see kind of had the the undercut, chopped around for a little bit, and then rallied back through, and then you got a nice little push in the close, which wasn't bad, right? The market was dumping into the close a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, and Amazon did kind of show up in a nice way. So I don't mind this candle though. You kind of got a little bit of volume push, bottom wick right off the 20-day. I think this will be super interesting tomorrow. See if it gaps up, maybe pushes above the prior day higher, gives us an inside day tomorrow, and we can get positioned like as a push through the earnings low. If it gives a little bit of a gap down, I don't know. It's one I want to keep it on. It's pulled back, I think, a good amount, and I'll watch for that higher low spot now. Let it give an inside day, let it go tight for a day or two, and we'll go after it. But I think this looks pretty good. ANET. This one, it's been acting great. It was weak the last, 2 days. It looks like it's trying to build a higher low. I liked the weekly chart on this one because it has an inside week, but I just like this flag to continue building out, whether it breaks down a little bit more and builds a higher low. Nonetheless, though, this is a name I want to watch for a higher low, whether that's over here, whether that's up here, who knows, but I like the inside day. I will watch this above today's high, but it's a name I just want to continue to keep an eye on. I don't know if it's one I want to go for tomorrow. BE, inside day today, is getting tight under that 50. We've seen a lot of stuff get back through the 50-day, and then you got FCell, another one, back through the 50 on Friday, inside day today. It's super tight in this range. It built higher lows when the QQQ built lower lows. It's just kind of done nothing really this little while, but it's just been sideways. You got like a double inside week. It's super, super tight. And this thing was an absolute beast. I think this name could be worth going for. Right. It's a very high beta, high ATR name. So always want to remember that in the back of your mind. But if BE can wake up, maybe go for this one above today's highs with the inside day today. And then FSL is another one to keep an eye on above today's highs. With the inside day, they're super tight, and they look like maybe they want to try to make a move if this market's going to reward pretty much everything, even the stuff that's been lagging a little bit. Everything's starting to wake up. Would be super interesting. COHR, I talked about how strong the optics have been. I'm going to continue to keep an eye on every single one of those, but I really like this 4-day range. It's starting to build. Give us an inside day tomorrow. Overall, looks like a flag. You have an inside week, a little bit of a heavier inside week, but not too bad, right? Just let it continue building out this, this little first flag setup. And nonetheless, back above the 50. I like it. Give us an inside day or two. Tightness. Give us a higher low, whatever. And I want to go for this one. CRDO, don't see anything on this one today, but because you've kind of just been straight up here, but the strength is there. Give us a flag, give us a setup here now, and I'd be super interested to go for this one. Continue to keep an eye on the names that are building out and showing relative strength while the market's going sideways, and these things are going up, because when the market pulls back, maybe these things will go sideways. Nonetheless, they look great. Dell, one of my biggest positions still. It honestly gave a spot today, right at that prior pivot, an area I told you or talked about yesterday. You kind of pulled into that all day today, came right to the bottom of it, found support, and you did hold a little bit into the close. So not a bad spot, I don't think, but nonetheless, looks fine, right? It's just a 3-day pullback, drying up volume. Same thing with each HPE. You come into that spot, 3 days of pullback on super low volume. I think this looks fine to me. If you own this, don't get antsy with it. Let it work. Let the chart build out. But nonetheless, Dell looks great. DOCN, right? Going back to some software stuff that's been an absolute beast. You're building nice, sideways here. You got an inside week, another one with an inside week. There's a lot of stuff that's tight on a weekly chart. So I think a few more days, like I said, would give definitely some more clarity on some of this stuff. But I really like this range it's building. I think above this range, this 130 like 8 area, right above today's highs, pretty much. This 138 area is where I'll watch for that push through, get us back through the 50-day. As long as we're not like gapping up, which I don't think that'd be the worst thing, but I don't want to be buying it right at the 50, more so pushing through that 50-day. But nonetheless, I mean, the 50 days are right here, so a push through the 50 wouldn't be too bad either. But it's been building higher lows. It's in a group that's been acting awesome, and it's one that's actually been going sideways. So as long as the software stuff doesn't get absolutely destroyed, I think DOCN has a good chance. And inside day tomorrow, even, this thing would be super, super tight. And it almost reminds me of like Intel, right? Where it's just building out that right side after a nice bounce, and you got a double inside day, looks pretty good. But nonetheless, DOCN above today's highs would be interesting for me, pretty much just above this little range it's built, which practically is from August 4th high. So like I said, like 137, I guess I could say 137 is that spot I'd look for a push through. FSL above today's highs. I talked about Intel, right? Semis. You look at SMH, right? I talked about it's back above the 50-day. A-Lab got absolutely smacked. Maybe that happens to your Intel. I don't know. We'll have to see. ARM, another one, got absolutely smacked. But we'll see what Intel can do. It's some of the stuff got hit. This thing held in today, and then some of the stuff absolutely rocketed, right? SMTC. I talked about Intel. ASML is acting fine. All right, it's acting super nice above the 50-day. AMD did fail at the 50, but it still looks fine. Let it build out for a few days. Offer a higher low setup. Could be really good. Marvell, you did have a push today, showed some nice relative strength compared to the group, closed up on the day at least, did reject the 50. It's at the 50. I just want to see it get through the 50. TSCM is another one where, yes, it was red today, but overall it's above the 50. It could very possibly be trying to build out sideways. Intel, I like the double inside day above today's highs, and I'll be willing to try this and go for it, whether that's with INTW or just straight up INTC. Eli Lilly, this group, whether you look at your XLV, which looks pretty good to me. XBI has been awesome. I know it's not a biotech, but I just like talking about XBI as far as healthcare, right? Halo, as far as biotechs, this thing's been a beast. AR, actually, I have the wrong ticker right. Maybe I don't. ARGX, big base breakout on a not this is not an earnings gap up, but on a big gap up, which is interesting. Oscar, big move up last week. Inside day, right under a pivot, looks pretty good. I'll keep an eye on this, but Eli Lilly is building a big base. I really like that candle today off the 50. Maybe it was one you could have bought right off that 5-minute long wick, right off that prior day low and the 50-day. I think that was a pretty good spot, and it did have a nice push from there. Did give up about half of it into the close, but I really like this bar. Maybe we're trying to build a higher low off the 50 and a push above today's highs. I'd be willing to take this one, and I'll probably go for LLYX. This one moves about, 7% per day. So would rather go with that because this thing's a little bit slow, but nonetheless, it looks like a good chart. It's building a big base. I think the weekly chart looks fine. Overall, building a base, I like it. NBIS, I want to keep this one on the list. Another one where I talk about where it makes a big move up, let it pull back, let it give us a higher low spot, and then we go for it. That's what I'm looking for. You're at the top of the pivot now. Maybe some rest is needed, but nonetheless, looks pretty good. NCLD ETF doesn't look too bad. I mean, can't really read this too much yet. It's too early, but CoreWeave, you had the earnings gap up. You're kind of building a flag, not one I want to go for. NBIS, I'd rather go for with some tightness, but nonetheless, this thing looks pretty good. SITM, semiconductor name. This thing's building a pretty big base here. It's almost like a cup with a handle. Maybe a little bit of a longer handle would be nice, but nonetheless, it's trying to build a base right under this pivot. Looks pretty good. You had an inside week. Looks nice. Maybe a few more days of clarity would be interesting. I don't know if this one trades the cleanest. It's pretty illiquid on a 5-minute chart, or just very choppy. So give us a breakout, and I'll definitely consider paying attention to this one. But I'd rather go with the more liquid stuff. Nonetheless, though, this name doesn't look too bad to me. SpaceX, triple inside day, or almost. No, not quite, but you had a double inside day. You did have a nice push day off the open. This thing was getting absolutely bought up in a very big way, literally straight up from 140 to 150, whole $10 straight up off the open the first hour or two of the day. Interesting, but it's building sideways here in a super nice way right under that IPO low. It's building a nice flag. I like the way it looks, and I want to continue to keep an eye on the names that are coming out of those like downtrends in a big way, getting back above their 10, 20s, 50-day moving averages and still above the 200, and starting to build flags and build mini bases and go sideways. Those are my favorite setups. That's when I can want to continue to keep an eye on. So an inside day tomorrow even would be awesome. Nonetheless, it's building that out. It's building out in a nice way. STX, right? You're out of the pivot. Looks pretty good, but it's just, to me, not viable here, right? Let it pull in, maybe give a higher low. It's been straight up 5 days in a row. Don't be the guy buying this on the 5th day when it's already well out of the pivot. Just not where I'd want to get positioned. It was either through the 50-day or on Friday. Now it's just kind of like, okay, so maybe let it pull back into here, build a higher low, stress test some people that bought the breakout, and then maybe we could try to go for a higher low. But nonetheless, DRAM, right? This back above the 50 did have a big gap up today, but it did come back a little bit. Don't think it's the worst thing. SanDisk had an awesome day today. Again, this thing's up in a big way off of its lows. MU, same thing, back through the 50. It's nice to see. Let them build sideways now. STX is already out of the sideways, but let it build a higher low. Let it build maybe a little flag or something out of the base would be super interesting. TER, the absolute robotics leader, right? You look at Robo, still super tight, and TER is definitely the leader of that. The other ones maybe not so much, but nonetheless, this name looks so good. It had a nice flag, gapped up out of it, kind of just like wedging where it just pushes right through inside day, and then a nice break of the pivot today. Interesting spot to say the least. You could have got that one. You get a little bit of a washout and then you push right through ramp. Maybe that was a good spot. Either way, give us a higher low, and this is a name I'm going to continue to keep an eye on in the next week or two. Let it pull in a little bit, let it build sideways. I'll look for a higher low. Toast, software name. Software, man, these things maybe need some rest still, and then we attack them. But a little bit of a pull today. But Snow looks fine. It was green today. Zeta, maybe some continued digestion. Palantir, it's starting to digest. I like the way it looks. Maybe we'll go for it as a higher low if it can pull back a little bit more. Frog, same thing, right? It made a big move up from Thursday. Friday did not too much. Outside bar today, a little bit of a rest day. Let it go sideways for a few days, and it will look really good. MongoDB, same thing. Resting after a big move up. Let them pull in, build higher lows, then we'll go for them, right? Twilio even, I think this one's coming right into that earnings low. So interesting to say the least, but I like this toast. It's building a flag. I talked about this yesterday. It's got an inside week. Looks pretty good to me. I like this candle today off the 10-day. Maybe a push through this would give us a little bit of a higher low. Looks like a good spot for a higher low around 33.86, right? From a 33.30 or whatever. Push through today's highs. It'd be an interesting spot for me to look at this one. The EWI I saw, and I'll go through some ETFs here after my list. Right? You're back above the 50. Interesting to see. SK Hynix, right? SKHY, kind of at that IPO high. So, definitely don't want to be buying it up into here, right? Maybe it could have been a good short spot as a day trader or whatever. But I want to continue to keep an eye on this stuff. Cyber, if I can spell. Cyber, I'll let this one, same thing, find its higher low, let it pull in. And then we're going to look at Rubrik. FTNT doesn't look too bad. It's coming into the 50, right? Did have a little bit of unwind the last 2 days, but let it come into the 50. You got Okta is another one, right? Let it continue building out. Pretty weak the last 2 days. Don't want to be buying it as it's just going straight down. PanW looks fine. right? This one looks pretty good even. I mean, coming into the pivot it broke out of could be a spot for a higher low. One I'm going to continue to keep an eye on. QLYS is also a cybersecurity name, I'm pretty sure. This thing, or big earnings gap up, let it digest after the earnings gap up, let it build out sideways, which is what it's doing, and these things will look good. Just when I speak about mags, avoid the metas of the world, avoid the laggards. Go for rather an Amazon if it can finally start to turn back up after this a nice pullback. And that's what I'd want to go for. But ArcG, nice chart, nice day-to-day twist, building out a nice flag. TXG building out a nice flag, right? IWM had an inside day, IWO had an inside day, some growth stuff, right? These names can still continue higher, but I'd rather be waiting for some names that keep building sideways. In the meantime, there's still some setups I see that I'm willing to try, like your Intels, your BE, Eli Lilly, things like that. But let's keep this up as far as tracking relative strength. Tracking names are acting the best while the NASDAQ maybe builds a higher low, and we will be ready, right? Keep tracking relative strength on these down days because those names can have great setups a week from now. I'm having, trouble with a little bit of clarity on some of these stuff. So maybe tomorrow, hopefully into the end of the week, there will be some more setups. But nonetheless, I'm talking my butt off. So I will catch you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching and have a great night.